Matt, you are now live. So, hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Tailgate Cocktails. I'm Greg Barry, Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Affairs. Since we're virtual, please excuse any technical issues that may pop up. If you have any problems with your video or audio, click the reconnect button to get back into the webinar right away. And a note for our live attendees, today's webinar is being recorded. We're planning to upload it onto our website by Monday, a little later than normal, but we will have it up by Monday. Once the link is ready, you'll get an email notification. Also, if you have questions as today's guest crafts our cocktails with us, drop it in the chat. I'll be addressing them throughout the evening because you may be asking what's a good substitution for this or that or anything like that. Tonight, we're excited to welcome a friend of UAB alumni, Matt Smith, to our webinar series. Matt is general manager and expert mixologist at the Southern Kitchen and Bar, as well as Uptown Cantina. Tonight, we'll be crafting 5 cocktails we'll be able to recreate for our friends at any event, and especially tailgates this fall. Matt, let's start making those cocktails.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Like you said, I'm Matt. I'm with Uptown Cantina and the Southern Kitchen and Bar. Just bear with me. I'm fighting against golden hour a little bit. That's never a bad thing. It does wonders for the skin. That is absolutely for sure. Not only that, some of these cocktails will do some absolute wonders for your skin as well, as we're using actual real fruit, real mint, real cucumbers, real basil. So I'd love to jump right into them. One of our first cocktails that we're going to make is the Margarita Classico, which is a huge hit here at Uptown Cantina. It's absolutely one of our most popular ones, and personally one of my favorite ones. So we'll jump right into it. Now, the tequilas that we'll be using this evening will be Hornitos Tequila. It's a great tequila. It's a gold Blanco. I'm sorry, it's not gold. Silver Blanco. Very smooth, very easy to go down, and great when you're mixing it with other products. I will say that most of these products, I say about 99% of them, you can find at your local ABC or state package stores. So you go out and grab every single thing that we're going to make this evening to make it at home or make it during your tailgate season. All right, so we're going to start with the first one, which is going to be the Margarita Classico. So you'll take your tumbler, and then usually what I like to do is I like to start off with a couple of fresh limes. So I've got a couple here. Now you can use lime juice that you pre-squeeze, all that fun stuff. I usually like to use real limes to get all the good fresh juices in there. And then we are using a muddler in there, so you're going to muddle this pretty dry without ice at first. So I typically, per one lime, I'll cut it up into 4s, and I'll use 2 of those. But since it's me, I like to use 3 out of the 4 cuts that I make. So you're going to muddle that up very, very nicely. All right. And then, of course, you should have a bar cocktail jigger. So what these are actually used for is to measure the alcohol content that you have in each cocktail that we're going to make. And if you look inside of them, fun fact, if you look inside, so most of these are going to be 1 1/4 ounce, and then you'll have a 1/4 ounce on the other side. So if you look inside, there's actual beveled edges that can tell you, so to say most cocktails will have a 0.5 that you actually use in there. It'll actually show you the bevels, or you'll use a 3/4 on the inside. That's where you'll hit the measurement of each liquor that you're using, or liqueur. All right, so we're going to start out with Hornitos Tequila. All right, you're going to do 1 1/4 ounce. So it's going to be one of the larger parts. So you're going to pour it. It is very important to note that if you use bar pour spouts, make sure that your finger does not cover the breathing hole right here. That'll actually create a smooth transition for the tequila to actually move from the bottle out the spout without causing any disruption. So use 1 1/4 ounce, you'll dump that in there, and then you're going to use 3/4 ounce of triple sec. So, triple sec, today we're going to be using bowls. Like I said, you can find it at any state store, local package store, it's all there. So you actually use the smaller part, which is 3/4 ounce. So you'll drop that in there. And then you're going to go with the 2 ounces of lime juice, but as you remember earlier, we actually muddled those already. But just in case, if you are using the jigger and you actually have pre-made lime juice, like I do here as well, you'll just use the 1 1/4 ounce and then a 1/4 ounce from the small one, and then look for the bevel on the inside. All right, so now we got the lime juice. We are going to add our ice now. About a scoop. About a quarter of a cup of ice is what all you're going to use for that. And then you're going to add your delicious agave nectar. Melon makes a great agave nectar. There's also Tres Generacion that also uses, that actually makes an amazing agave nectar as well. You can use either, whichever you prefer. One is a little bit lighter than the other. So the Melon is going to be a lighter agave syrup, whereas the Tres Generacion is going to be a little bit of a thicker, darker agave nectar. All right, so you get 3/4 ounce of that as well. 1 ounce, so 3/4 ounce. You're going to go up 3/4 ounce. And then inside, with that same small bevel on the inside, you're going to hit 1 full ounce of agave nectar. Once you get there, now typically we use the smaller shaker tins to actually hook in there. But if you have a glass, you can use a glass as well. Just be careful of any kind of breakage. Try not to bang it, especially on any flat surface. It might shatter. So that's the reason why we use these metal tins. But now that you have your ice in there, so what you're going to do is give it 1 small pop, and you are going to angle it. Right there, we can see the large angle, or actually the hole on that side. That'll create breathing room to be able to get this off safely and securely without damaging anything or actually getting it stuck to where you're pretty much having to hulk it open. So, pop it 1 time. Now, when you shake, you're going to grab at the top and also at the top of the rim as well. When you shake, it's going to be elbows out at a comfortable distance, and then you're going to shake until you feel the cold run up the entire tin. When your hands start to freeze, that's when you know that you've shaken it properly. So, give it a few shakes until you feel the cold. Stop. Now, if you let that hold, you can pop the side, and that'll come right off. Very, very easy. So, once again, pop it, shake until you feel the cold. Pop the side, and it'll come right off. All right. So we are actually going to be using our Margarita glass right here. These are Martini glasses, I believe that's what they're called. You can actually find all of our glassware, or similar to our glassware actually, on Amazon. I could always share a link for that if you prefer as well. Now, when it comes to rimming your glass, a lot of people will use a fresh lime, especially if you like the sour, salty taste. You can do either. So you can take a lime, that 4th lime wedge that you actually have from your lime, rim it that way. It'll actually go in there very, very nicely, as you can see there. Now, I like a little bit of sweet and salty. So what I've done is use that same agave nectar, and I actually like to rim it with a little bit of agave nectar. It's a little stickier, but it creates the same thing. A beautiful rim. All right. And then with your Margarita, you're going to fill your glass up with ice, whichever ice you use. I'm a sucker for the little chipped ice. I love the chipped ice. And then from there, to keep all the ice that you've actually used to marinate, actually in your Margarita mix, you're going to use a bar strainer, or you could use a glass, whichever you prefer. You would just tilt it at a different angle, just so it pours out properly. And then from there, you get a perfectly poured Margarita. All right. And of course, for garnishes, we do love a good garnish. I like a wheel. Most people like wedges. So, we actually do have some beautiful wedges here. Now, you can garnish it with several things. If you wanted to make a Texas Margarita, simply all you would add is a little bit of orange juice, and that creates a Texas Margarita. Or if you're feeling a little bit spicier, you could actually muddle this with jalapeno and do a tahini rim around it. It is absolutely incredible. And we also have a cocktail that mirrors that as well, called our Fuego, that we also add a little bit of our prickly pear mixed with as well. So it's absolutely incredible, a little spicy, sweet. So always a good cocktail, especially for the summertime. Who doesn't love Margarita? Especially Margarita Monday, Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. All those things are fantastic. All right. So, moving on to our next cocktail, we have the apple pie sipper. This is actually one of my new favorites, and I will go ahead and tell you, I've made the recipe with Fireball, and a lot of people think back to their college days, Fireball. It's definitely a party with that. But you actually can substitute it with Goldschlager, which is also an amazing liquor as well. Plus the gold flakes, it makes the drink look very beautiful. I absolutely love it every single time I've ever used it. All right, so just make sure that your bar tools are clean. I have a crazy habit of always cleaning mine after every cocktail because I like the cocktails to taste like they're supposed to be and not from something left over. All right, So in this one, we are going to be using a large rocks glass, which we have right here. With this one, you're going to do the same build. So you're going to have your tumbler. All right, and you're going to go in with 1 1/4 ounce of Fireball. So you'll take the same thing. It's going to be the larger side, so it's 1 1/4 ounce. Fireball.
So what is the main difference again? And you may have said it between the Goldschlager and the Fireball. Fireball obviously is more readily available, but Goldschlager's just got a little different taste.
It is. You're going to get a little bit more of that heat with the Goldschlager more than anything. And where you have clear liquors and dark liquors, of course, Fireball is considered it's actually part of the whiskey family, whereas Goldschlager is part of the clear liquor family. So that is a huge, huge difference right there. You got a little bit of whiskey, which you could even have fun with it. Fireball has now created most of their products that are now wine-based, which is very, very interesting. So there's no liquor whatsoever. So it has it's pretty much similar. I mean, it's pretty close to like a high volume percentage, but less hangover because you've got a little bit of wine in place of the liquor. It's really based on taste.
I just want to rewind real quickly. We got a question for the Margarita. Can you use tequila reposado?
Absolutely, yeah. You can use reposado, añejo. Usually I try to steer clear with the añejos because those are really meant to be enjoyed over ice or straight up, especially because of the smoothness, the context of it, the feel of it, everything, the way that it's actually distilled. I would definitely reserve a lot of the margaritas, maybe to a Repo or a Blanco. But the añejos are meant to be very much enjoyed by themselves, and they're incredible tequilas. We have some great partnerships with, Tres Generacion, which is amazing. There's Corlejo. There's so many great brands out there. I would urge everyone I think there's a few places around Birmingham that actually do some tequila tastings, or maybe just have a fun date night. Do a tequila flight at home, or friends getting together, play a card game, just try a bunch of different stuff, see what you like, play around with things. All right, so we have the Fireball in there. We're going to jump our scoop of ice in there, about 1/4 cup, same thing as last time. And then we're going to go with the green apple pucker. Really, really fun one. So the Kuiper actually makes these, and they are in abundance at most every liquor store, steak store, or local package store. So it's the Kuiper sour apple. You're going to go in with that one. Of course, let's make sure this is cleaned out a little bit. So for that one, you're going to do 1 1/4 ounce as well of the green apple pucker. I'm sorry, 1 1/4 ounce. So, 1. So you have the 1 ounce all the way up, and then the 1/4 ounce as well. You're going to find that rim right inside of it. You're going to dump that in. Okay. So the thing that I love about this drink is it's great for fall. It's great for football, especially if you like something a little bit sweeter, but also that has some kind of heft to it as well. When you actually taste this cocktail, you're going to think football, candy apple, fairgrounds. That's exactly what you're going to get from this one. It's a fantastic, fantastic cocktail. All right, so from there, you're actually going to add the pineapple juice. That's what makes it a little bit more tropical, but it'll also take the edge off of the Fireball, the strength of the Fireball, because Fireball is a little bit stronger than most other liquors, especially with Goldschlager as well. All right. So we're going to go in with our pineapple juice, and I actually have fresh pineapple juice, but like I said before, I like to muddle fresh fruit into mine. So we are actually going to go in, and I would say maybe 4 cubes to make it really fun. Get all the juices out there. All right, I'm going to muddle that up very, very nicely. Now with this one, you can do it dry and then add the ice later. I like to do it with it because I like it to be completely chilled and not shaken. All right, so once you've got that muddled up pretty nicely,
so how do you know when it's muddled enough?
so you're going to think smash. So with that one, you're going to think everything, the fruit has to be completely flat, or smashed to almost where it looks like ground up chunks. So when you go to the store and stuff like that, you can actually buy the cans of the crushed pineapple. That's what you want it to look like, the consistency of crushed pineapple. You want it to be completely obliterated in the bottom of the tin. All right. So just for fun, I am going to add a little bit to this recipe. I like it a little bit sweeter, just really to cut the Fireball taste. So I actually will add a little bit of triple sec, about a 1/4 ounce of triple sec. All right, so you've got your Bowls triple sec here. Usually Bowls has great peach schnapps and triple sec. You can pick it up at the same stores. It's in abundance. So you're going to go in with your small one. You're going to find the inside rim as well. Add a 1/4 ounce to it. Just dump that in for good measure. Now, I will tell you, a lot of times as you start to build these cocktails, I do appreciate it a lot, actually, measuring with your heart. I think everybody knows their tolerance, what they do and what they don't like, so you could really measure with your heart. So if you like a little extra pineapple, I would honestly take everything up by a 1/4 ounce. All right, so once again, add a little bit more ice to it. Now this one, because it is whiskey, and I'm firmly against with Fireball, it is comprised, it's part of the whiskey family. So I'm pretty much against muddling, I'm not muddling, but shaking any kind of whiskey. So we're gonna go in with our handy bar spoon. All right, so with most bourbons and whiskeys, it's almost considered hateful, for a better lack of term, to actually shake whiskeys and or bourbons. So we're gonna go with our bar spoon. And the way that you actually hold this bar spoon is you're gonna take 2 fingers with your ring finger in the back and just grasp it like that. And then from there, you're just going to create a circular motion. Let the spoon spin with you. Now, holding the bottom of the tin will also give you that feel. You will feel when it starts to ice over. When it starts to ice over or freeze, it's time. All right, same thing. We will take our strainer. Now, because Fireball is part of the whiskey and bourbon family, I have some really fun whiskey ice rocks here. On the wrong side. There we go. So we'll drop that in there. And then from there, you're going to strain it over the whiskey ice. It's actually a very beautiful color too. Now from here, I always like to, everybody loves a good garnish. Why not have a cocktail that you can have something to kind of munch on while you sip it? So I like to take a few of the pineapples. Or in my case, a lot of times at home when I've made these, I like to do a cinnamon red hot in the bottom of it and really make it beautiful. That red actually makes a beautiful color to contrast to the green, and it makes it feel almost like a candy apple. And you can actually smell, when you smell the aromas of it, you very much get candy apple fall. You smell all the heats, all the good stuff. Yeah, like I said, it's absolutely stunning to look at, especially with the muddled pineapple. I always love fresh fruit muddled in cocktails. All right, so our next one's actually a really fun one. I've been playing around with this one for quite some time, and David, my partner that helped create a lot of these cocktails, actually came up with pretty much all of this one. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Now, I will tell you there are a couple substitutions that you can actually use for this. Today, I'm going to be using a white wine. It calls for white wine or Prosecco. Prosecco, if you like something a little bit more bubbly, I always do something to tickle the nose a little bit as you sip it. It's always fun. But today, I'm going to be using one of my favorite white wines. This is a Pinot Grigio. The brand that we're actually using today, you can find it at most any grocery store. I mean, pretty much most every grocery store. So it's Canyon Road. It's the Pinot Grigio right there. And they also have an amazing Sauvignon Blanc. It's absolutely incredible. It's very light. It's full of grapes. I mean, you get so many beautiful aromas and flavors out of this one.
As you pop that, or unscrew it, as a lot of white wine is these days, we got a question. What is whiskey or what is bourbon ice?
What's that?
What is bourbon or whiskey ice? You mentioned that the cube that you put into that last drink, the apple pie sipper, it was more of a whiskey ice cube. So explain that a little bit more.
So they're going to be the larger cubes. You can actually find these pretty much anywhere you can go shopping at. I think I've seen them at even TJ Maxx. Walmart sells them. You can go on Amazon. Amazon is a great place. You can find all sorts of fun whiskey ice. So it's typically going to be the larger block ice that you see here. And you can even have fun with these. They've got all different shapes, stars, diamonds. But the reason for that is you want to make sure that that drink stays cold, especially with the bourbon. And it's aesthetically pleasing. It's beautiful. But you can find these anywhere you go.
With the apple pie sipper, in place of the pineapple juice, can you substitute anything else with that?
Yes, absolutely. So you can substitute several different things. You can substitute orange juice. You want to try to not stray too far with that one. I think the main reason, for me personally, the main reason is because pineapple juice just pairs well with apple. So as long as you stay in the same fruit category, you can really have fun with that one. You can play around with orange juice. I've tried a couple things with pomegranate as well. Pomegranate is a great substitution. It does change the flavor just a little bit, but not by much. So as long as you stay in those primary fruits, I probably wouldn't venture out into doing, grapes or strawberries, anything else like that. Pineapple juice. You could even use grapefruit. Grapefruit is a great alternative as well. It actually pairs pretty well with a Fireball. It kind of offsets the cinnamon flavor a little bit. All right, so we'll get washed up here, and we will go into our next cocktail. All right, so our next cocktail tonight is going to be the Sangria Verde. Like I said, this one's a really fun one for me. I very much like it a lot. I do like a lot of different wines, so it's perfect for me. It's a little lighter. It's not as heavy, especially as some of our other cocktail drinks, but it's still just as amazing. So we're going to start out with our tumbler. Once again, we're going to do 4 ounces of white wine or 4 ounces of Prosecco. Now, to really have fun with this recipe with Prosecco, if you want to get that extra bubble, I would definitely do 4 1/4 ounce of the Prosecco, just because it's bubbly, it's fun, it's a lot lighter. Some of these wines, depending on the brands, can be a little heavier. So that's why I always say, measure with your heart, play around with it, see what you can kind of come up with, and kind of gain your feel or your love for your own cocktail. All right, so we're going to do 4 ounces. So we've got our 1 ounce right here. So we're going to do 4 of these. So we're going to do all 4 ounces of that, 1/4 ounce, 3/4, 2, 3, and 4 ounces. Now, do pay attention to the jiggers that you buy. They do come in 2 ounces, 1 ounces, 3 or 1/4 ounces. So make sure that you pay attention. On the side, it'll actually have a measurement. Like this one is 3/4 ounces. So that's why you saw me do 3 full ones. So you can do 3 3/4 ounces and then 3/4 ounces. Sorry, 4 4/4 ounces to make 4 ounces total of the Pinot Grigio that you're going to put in there. Now, another one is I do love melon. I know a lot of people, this has always been a huge topic. A lot of people either hate melon or they love melon. I absolutely love melon. I think it's great, especially in cocktails. It's not overpowering. It's very subtle. It just adds a little bit of on the end. All right, so with this one, you're actually going to go in. You're going to do 1.8 ounces, okay? So to get you have 1 1/4 on this end, so you're going to find that inside bevel, or you can go in 3/4, all right? Or you can always do the 1 ounce right here, and then 1/2 ounce right here. So you have 2 different types of jiggers here. Typically, I always try to find the 1 ounce and the 1/2 ounce. All right, so 1 ounce. You're going to do the 1/4 ounce, right barely at the top. You're going to drop that in, a little bit of splash right there. All right. From there, you're actually going to do a 0.5 ounce. So that's where it does get a little tricky. So on this 1/4 ounce, if you notice right there towards the bottom, you'll see that first little beveled edge. That's where you're going to hit, not to the mid one or even at the top of the actual top of the jigger bartending tool. So right there on the inside, you'll see the first little bevel mark, and it does roll all the way around in pretty much every jigger that I've ever seen you can buy. It always has those inside bevels. All right, so we're going to go in with our Bowls triple sec. Right there. Not going to be much at all. And then the same thing with the lime juice. So this one, instead of doing the muddled lime, we're actually going to use the real lime juice. And this is fresh squeezed. I always like using fresh everything. You can buy most of these things in jugs, and they're great. They're absolutely great. But to me, I like that very, very fresh zest, especially off of a lime or a lemon or most fruits. I like to buy that fresh and actually squeeze it myself. So we're going to do the fresh lime juice. And then it's going to be 1 ounce of the simple syrup. So I usually make mine at home. So the best recipe for simple syrup is very easy. It's 1 and 1. So for as much simple syrup that you would like to make, it's going to be 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of water brought to a hard boil, and then you reduce the temperature very fast. And as the temperature drops, it will create almost like a syrup texture. So it will not be as liquidy as water. It will be a little bit more syrupy. But as much simple syrup, it's always 1 and 1, equal parts to make simple syrup.
And real quickly, James asked 1.8 ounces of what? 1.8 ounces of melon liqueur.
Yes. Now it calls for 1 ounce, but like I said, I like melon, so that's why I always add the 0.8. But like I said, the recipe actually calls for 1 ounce, but I always use the 0.8 because I like that little extra melon in mine. All right, so we're going to go with the 1 ounce of the simple syrup. Now, this is actually really fun. Simple syrups, you can have a lot of fun with these. I don't think people realize that. So even when we use herbs and mints and even fruit pieces, you can actually turn those into simple syrups. It'd be the same thing. So you would do per each 1 cup of sugar and per each 1 cup of water that you would bring to a high boil. I typically use about 8 leaves of each of whatever I'd like to use, herbs, and I put that in there while it boils. And when it boils, it pulls everything, the flavor, out of the actual leaves itself, so that you're left with a basil simple syrup or a rosemary simple syrup or thyme simple syrup. They're great to use, and you can actually use a lot of these while cooking as well, which is incredible. And the shelf life on these simple syrups are incredible. I mean, you could use these up to a couple weeks without them actually turning on you. So we'll do 1 ounce. And then always make sure that when you're doing this, like I said, make sure that if you use the pour spouts, make sure that you leave your hand free. So when you pour things with these pour spouts, it has a curvature in it. So make sure the curvature is always facing out. If it's facing up, it's going to cause you to pour higher. And when you pour higher, things, as we know gravity does, it hits whatever you're pouring into harder, it splashes back. So you don't actually get the full measurements that you're supposed to have. All right. So for this one, we're also going to have a little fun with this one as well. So this one's going to go in our tall hurricane glass. Now for this one, I'm not going to muddle this one, but I do like to add a couple pieces of pineapple and melon. Pineapple always complements melon, especially if you're not a big melon person. It'll kind of even that out for you. Maybe about 2 chunks of each. You could always, like I said, measure with your heart. If you like a little bit more flavor, I would definitely suggest adding more. Now, from there, you're actually going to add your ice, and it's whatever ice your heart desires. All right. So we've got that there for you. Now, for this one, we're going to do about a scoop of ice, and we're going to use the same technique as earlier. So you're going to cap it at an angle. You can see right there. Pop it 1 time, same way, elbows up. You're going to shake until you feel the chill run all over your finger. Little pop there, so that's the whole reason why you do that. It'll pop straight off. All right, so from there, you're going to use your strainer. It has a beautiful, beautiful green color.
And I just find out if you use Prosecco and once you start to shake it,
yes,
be careful.
Yes. Now, if you use Prosecco is going to be the last thing. So if you go by the measurements that are on the sheet with the 1 ounce instead of the 1.8, like I said, I love melon. I love the flavor of melon. So that's why I use a 0.8. But if you use the correct measurements for each one, you should have about 3/4 of the room on top of the glass, with it being a hurricane glass. You can actually use the Prosecco as a topper. So that's the only step that you would skip from the Pinot Grigio or the white wine to using the Prosecco, is it'll actually allot you room right at the top to do a topper on there. And that actually creates a beautiful separation where you'll see the green striated into the clear. All right, and of course, we are going to use a little pineapple and melon as well as a topper for that. And it creates a beautiful, beautiful green. I do love this drink a lot. It's very, very good. It's a little sweeter, but like I said, it depends on whether you like the bubbles or if you just like the sweetness of it. That Prosecco does change the flavor quite a bit, but only for the bubble factor. A lot of people are particular on whether they like white wines or Proseccos. I would not, and you can actually use like a brut champagne. That's completely up to you. Once again, it's all about your taste and what you do like and what you don't like. All right. So it's always important to make sure that your tins are completely washed out. Like I said, you want every cocktail to taste exactly like how it's meant to be. So always wash out everything that you use before moving on to another cocktail. The fun part is I've actually created, David actually helped me in creating a really fun sheet. So what we can actually do, if you'd like to make larger batches of these cocktails, I'm going to send over a spreadsheet almost. All you have to do is just enter the amount that you want to make per the container that you have. You just enter that number in and it calculates out the recipe exactly how you need to make it. So for the next one is really one of my favorite ones. I'm a huge vegetable, fruit, and herbs. I love using herbs, whether I'm cooking, a lot of times in my cleaners, fragrances, household chemicals, everything else like that. I'm a huge fan of a lot of natural herbs and scents. So that's why I absolutely love this drink very, very much. And I actually found a Melon syrup that is absolutely incredible. So this is the cucumber, cucumber Melon syrup. It is very beautiful. Now with this, like I said, Melon syrups are a lot thicker, so they're a lot more concentrated. So that's why I've adjusted the recipe that's on the list to actually fit this one, because it is stronger. It has a stronger flavor and it's more concentrated. But if you find another one, I think Bowls also makes a cucumber. There's a couple of different brands out there that do it as well. But I've always liked the Melon, just kind of cutting that amount that I use in each cocktail down in half because it is stronger. All right, so for that one, we're going to use a large rocks glass. All right, so this one's really, really fun. I like to do something completely different with this one. So when it comes to the limes, you're going to get about 1 ounce. So 2 of those wedges, from all the wedges that we cut earlier, we're going to drop 2 of them in the bottom of the glass. This is one that I believe, and it's just my personal belief, they should be made in the glass. So that way you don't leave any of the good parts out whatsoever, whether it be the rind of the fruit, the fresh juice itself. I'm just not a fan of leaving those in a tin. I like all the beautiful things when it comes to the aesthetics of cocktails, being able to see the fresh mint, the basil, cucumbers, all those lovely things. I like to see that in my drink. And you can absolutely strain it. That's completely at your discretion. If you're not a fan of seeing like things floating around in your drinks, that is a thing. So if you don't like those, you can absolutely make it in the tin and then strain it into your glass just to avoid those things. All right, so from there, we're gonna do the two cucumber slices. So I've got my cucumber slices. Now with these, I like mine cut a little thicker, so not razor thin, about a good, but also not super thick either. But I'd say a good slice on both of those. You can see that right there. It's almost like when you go to the spa and you want to throw them on your eyes. That's about the slice that I actually cut. So I'll throw those in there as well. And then we are going to go in with 1.5 ounces of simple syrup, okay? So you got your simple syrup here. So it's going to be 1 1/4 ounce. So it's going to be the larger portion, 1 1/4 ounce. So it's going to be to that bottom bevel, not all the way up. So 1.5 ounces. So this is 1.25. So you'll find that inside first bevel before you get to the top. And that's about how much simple syrup you're going to use. Simple syrup. All right. Simple syrup, and then 3 to 4 pieces of basil. Now, if you can find some absolutely incredible basil, which we typically do, always find some really, really great basil leaves. They're going to be quite large. Now with these, especially if they're larger, and depending on the flavor that you'd like to have, I typically use 3. For the find the larger ones, I would definitely do 2 to 3. But if they're just the typical size, if you can find most sizes, I think they come in the small packaging at most Hershey stores. You'll find smaller pieces like this. You can actually use them there. So that one I would suggest using 4. Now, the key part to using basil and or mint is actually expressing the leaf, which is super, super fun. So what that actually does is it pulls all the aroma, all the flavors. So if you actually have basil in front of you, I'd like for you to just go ahead and smell it. Pretty strong, right? I'd say it's pretty strong. What we're going to do is we're actually going to express all the veins in this leaf to pull all the flavor out of this basil. So what you're going to do is you're going to palm it, okay? Place the leaf directly in your hand. And then you're going to take it and you're just going to give a clap. When you do that, it expresses all the veins on the backside. And then if you smell the basil now, it smells a lot stronger. So we're going to do that with our leaves. Same thing with the mint. You'll definitely want to express those as well. And you will really start to smell the aroma of this basil. All right, so since we have the large leaves, we're going to use 3. I love basil. Like I said, I love, love, love fresh herbs. And so for this one, we're actually going to use Tequila Blanco, which Hornitos is the tequila I'm using today. Like I said, great, great product. There are tons of other ones out there, so it's really whatever you desire. So you're going to go in with 2 ounces of tequila.
So real quick,
Sure.
I told you before we got on, I don't have any basil. Our store was out of basil. Can I substitute mint for basil on this one?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
You absolutely can. Especially if they're out, you can always substitute mint. It will change the flavor a little bit, but it'll still be a very, very fresh, easy to drink, superb cocktail. It is really great. All right, so for this one, we're going to go in with 2 ounces of the Hornitos. I don't know why, I actually did skip a step. So you could either put the tequila straight in there, or you can do like I do. I like to muddle everything to really get those juices going in the bottom of the glass. You can take your muddler, and you're just going to start to just muddle everything together. This gets all the juices into the simple syrup, kind of a melting pot almost of your herbs. I just absolutely love the smell of this together. It's incredible. Yeah. Right, so from there, you're going to do your 2 ounces of tequila. So we got 1 ounce, 2 ounces. All right. And then we're going to fill with ice. All right. So you're using a large rocks glass. You'll notice there's quite a little bit. Now the fun part about this is that is where you add your soda. Now you can use soda. I particularly like to add ginger ale when I'm at home to this. There's just something about the ginger ale, the ginger with all the mint, not the mint, but the basil, the limes, all of it together. It's just a beautiful, beautiful mixture. But like I said, if you cannot find fresh cucumber, if you want to take a walk on the wild side and try the Melon cucumber syrup, it's absolutely fantastic. I would just literally cut the amount in half because it is very concentrated. All right, so we are going to top this off with soda. So this is going to be very nice, very refreshing, light, very airy, breezy, easy to drink. It is a perfect back porch kind of drink, especially having a big TV, watching a game with friends. It's a very casual, social cocktail. Now, if you wanted to, so if you don't like the aesthetic of having everything in the drink, I typically do. Like I said, you could always strain it, but I would also save out like a few extra leaves just to really garnish it very beautifully. for your guests, and it looks absolutely beautiful, just garnished with a basil leaf and cucumber. You can even mix it up, throw a lime in there and spear it at the top. It's a great, great party drink, football drink, fall drink. It's even a great spring drink, even summer. It's a nice cool down.
I was scared for this one. I'm not a cucumber person at all. You can ask my wife. But to me, it wasn't even that bad. My wife loves it. And I couldn't really get a strong cucumber flavor. I mean, it's there, but it's on the back.
Absolutely. Like I said, with the lime, everything kind of melting together, it eliminates that cucumber taste, which most people always say cucumbers don't have a taste. They do to people that don't like cucumbers. Absolutely, 100%. There's a lot of people that aren't very much into cucumbers, but this one, I think with all the other mixtures of the fruits and herbs, it's a very subtle hint of the flavor, so which makes it perfect to drink. All right, so very, very, gosh, I love this drink. Plus, it's one of my favorite colors. So green, yeah, I'm in for it. All right, so our last cocktail is always a fun one. There are so many different variations out there. I absolutely love making this one. You can really have fun with this one. I would say throw some cherries in there. You know, make it almost like a cherry limeade, a cherry and mint limeade. You can really have fun with strawberry and mint limeade. That is a massive, massive thing. You can actually create this and make it into a fresca. So a lot of these juices, you add a little bit of lemonade or fresh lemon juice to it. Turn it into a fresca. This is great in a large gallon drum or cooler. You can actually mix these. Perfect for tailgating. Very, very easy to drink. It's smooth. It's very, very smooth. And plus, most people do like limeades. I know me personally, if they have a limeade on the menu, I think Sonic actually corners the market on that, on limeades. They have a lot of them. But people love limeades. I mean, it's very refreshing, easy to drink. It's just always loved. So many different variations that you can do there. Guava is actually another one that I've actually played around a few times with to create this cocktail. It's super, super good. But once again, it depends on the fruit and your taste. So this one, we're going to go in with Tito's vodka. Always a good vodka. God, Tito's is just great in everything. So with this one, we're going to go ahead and prepare our ice, because this one is going to be mixed, shaken in a tumbler. But there's one component that you will not put in the tumbler, which of course is the splash of soda. Okay, so I always like a little bit of soda in mine. You could also use Sprite, ginger ale, anything that's very light, clean, crisp, has that lemon lime flavor to it. You can use that for sure. I've even heard someone told me that they would use Sierra Mist. Sierra Mist actually makes an incredible holiday flavor. I think it's a cranberry Sierra Mist, and it is absolutely fantastic. So this is a very versatile drink. You can use it at holidays, for cocktail parties, all of that stuff. So we're going to go ahead and fill this up. Get our ice in there. All right, because I do love a good chilled glass. All right, so we've got our tumbler here. So we're going to go in with 2 ounces of Tito's vodka. All right. So we got 1 and 2. 2 ounces of Tito's vodka. You can do 3 ounces of lime juice. Like I said, you can muddle it up. So I would typically use, for 3 ounces of lime juice, it's going to be about 1.5, depending on the size of the lime. So always pay attention to the size of the limes and the time of year. Limes come in all different sizes. You can find the massive ones, the medium-sized ones, and the very small ones. Typically right now we have the very small ones. So I always will go in with some fresh squeezed lime juice. I always prepare that before. So you could always use either or in that one. So you're going to do 3 ounces of lime juice. And you can cut this in half. If you're not a big lime person, you can definitely cut this in half. You can go in with 1.5 ounces and be perfectly fine. So we'll do 3 ounces of lime juice. Okay. 1.5 ounces of the simple syrup. So that's our simple syrup we prepared for. And once again, like I said, especially with this limeade, you can have so much fun with it. Most of these things, these pineapple chunks, melon chunks, have some fun. Play around with this one. This one is very much a you cocktail and what you love. You can do so many variations. It is endless how much you can actually do with this cocktail. It's incredible, to be honest. I've done so many variations. It's a really, really versatile drink. I absolutely love it. So you're going to go 1.5 ounces All right. So you're going to go in with your 1 ounce. 1 ounce. Simple syrup. 0.5. Like I said, look for the inside bevel. That's where you're going to stop at. 0.5. Now be careful with the simple syrup depending on your 1-to-1 ratio. A lot of times you can use cane sugar. I've even seen people use a lot of things, like if they are using simple syrup with most whiskeys or bourbons, they will even go in with a brown sugar, which is absolutely incredible. It actually sets off the flavor, especially if it's a wood barrel whiskey or bourbon. It sets off incredible flavor for your palate. All right, so from there, you are going to simply just fill with ice. Like I said, this would be the time that you would add anything else that you would like to do. I like to use fresh mint leaves. And then once again, make sure you know to always express your leaves. That really pulls out all the flavor out of the herbs. All right, so for this one, I'm going to be using a cluster of 4. Depending on the size of mint leaves, they do come quite large, especially like the basil leaves. We have massive leaves for basils, especially with mint, tends to run about a medium size, but you can find the larger ones. So you're always going to express every herb that you use. The only ones that you would never really express would be a rosemary or thyme. Those you can actually smoke. You can smoke those into drinks, which are absolutely incredible. So for that, I would definitely suggest smoking those into this cocktail. Like I said, very, very versatile drink, depends on your flavor. So we're going to top this off once again. Make sure your lid goes in at an angle. Okay, so you always have that air hole. All right, so top it one time. Same thing, shake until you feel the hole. Pops right off right there. Got your strainer. Now, there are a few fine strainers that you can actually use. You can pick up at most stores. If you don't like bits of the leaf, anything else like that, that's what I would suggest, making like a mint simple syrup to keep things like that out of the drink. So it makes it a little bit more clear. Some people love it, some people hate it. So typically I would top this off with a soda, but I do love a good Sprite. So I'm going to give it one little splash of Sprite there, not much, just to give it a little bit of that lemon lime flavor. And then we're going to use very beautiful. We found like a very full one. Drop that right in there. And there we are. A beautiful limeade. Like I said, you can really have fun with this one. I urge everyone to really play around with this one. Make it your own. Come up with some really fun things. Really impress your friends with a lot of these cocktails. Now, these cocktails are very, very versatile. A lot of things you can substitute for other things. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask me. I'm always here at Southern or Uptown Cantina. I'd be happy to help in either way.
These are some really, really great cocktails. I know my wife, she's 100%, 150% sold on the cucumber basil cooler that we made, even though it was cucumber mint cooler. That Sangria Verde, oh wow! And this lemonade that we just made, everything, Matt, has been fantastic. And I did task Matt when we started looking at this. I don't know how many months ago. Hey, I need something green. I need something gold. And somebody actually dropped into the chat at one point. Hey, that's UAB green. So
go Blazers.
It is awesome. So I've got a couple of questions.
Sure.
In general, is there an advantage to using 2 shaker cups versus one with a cap? And I was using one with a cap here.
Yep. So there actually is an advantage because a lot of times what you'll get is that cap. The shaker tins will get so cold that it almost welds to it. The cold against the steel will kind of create a tighter hug, and it doesn't actually leave the air holes for that. So that's why I said it's always great to pick these up. Now, the trick to those is a lot of times people will take them, especially with a cap, and hit them like this. Now that's fine with the tin ones, but if you're using a glass to actually shake this with, if you pop it, it'll shatter. With the shakers that have the lids on them, be mindful of how tightly you actually put that cap on there. And with those, I would honestly gently set it on top and just take your finger to the back part of it. So that way it does not, you don't pop it down on there. It doesn't create any kind of like suction to the top of it. Because if not, you're gonna be staying there like I've done a million times, like hitting it. I think I've even taken a butter knife to the top of one that was ready for my cocktail. So if you do that, just put the lid on the very top of it, use the martini shakers, just a finger pressure, a light finger pressure, and shake the same way. And then the cap should come off very, very nicely. But there's really no difference to how you want to do it. It just depends on the tools that you like to use.
And the other question, and I have an answer for this for Devin. He's asking, will a recipe sheet be available with the recording? What I'm going to do, I'm going to drop this in the post-recording landing page. So where people can go back and watch the interaction that we had tonight with Matt, I will have the recipes there. And I might actually even put them in the email so people have them there instead. I'll figure that out. But yes, they will be available. That's the fun thing about this interactive concept is we can do some different things like that. So fantastic. And James, who I actually call Rick, asked the same thing. So we will get those out to our live attendees. So Matt, this has been really fantastic. If somebody's already asking you back for another webinar, and I might take you up on that. We've got a great collaboration with you guys over at the Southern as well as Uptown Cantina. So we appreciate everything you do.
Absolutely. Fantastic relationship. I'm happy to be a part of whatever you guys do in any way that I can. So I'm always here. So you can always reach out to me.
All right, Matt. Hey, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Absolutely. Go Blazers.
Go Blazers. And just a reminder, tonight's webinar will be uploaded onto our website by Monday. We have a team bonding day in the office, so we're going to take advantage of that tomorrow, so I probably won't get to it until Monday. I apologize for that. Once it's ready, live attendees will get an email with the replay link. You'll be able to catch Matt during our tailgates this fall on the rooftop of Uptown Cantina before each regular season home game. He and his team are behind the cocktails and the food offered at our alumni tailgate. We'd love for you to join us up there. Single game pre-sale passes are $25. If you go to a walk-up, it's going to be $30. Season passes, $120. It's a $30 savings. Purchase passes at alumni.uab.edu/2024 alumni tailgate. And be sure to come back and join us for these upcoming webinars. On Thursday, September 10th, we'll welcome Dr. Holly Wyatt and Dr. James Hill for Are the New Weight Loss Medications Right for You? During this webinar, we'll explore who qualifies for these medications and if they're beneficial for you. Come back Wednesday, September 18th, as Gary Warner joins us for Cybercrimes 2024, the current top ways to lose your life's savings. Gary will take a look at how we can protect ourselves in this digital age. Then on Tuesday, October 8th, come back for Crushing Productivity Killers, strategies for overcoming common pitfalls that reduce performance. A frequent guest, Dr. Megan Hayes, will not only explore this topic, but she'll also provide solutions on how to overcome them. Finally, on Tuesday, October 15th, we'll host The Art and Science of Surviving Cancer. We will delve into ways to safeguard the well-being of cancer survivors and address the challenges associated with treatment. You can register for these, and we have others as well, and in-person events as well at alumni.uab.edu/events. And as we close, let us know how we're doing. The QR code on the screen is going to take you to a short survey. Just share your thoughts with us. How are we doing? What would you like to see? We'd like to know. Take a quick moment, share your thoughts with us. Once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and as Go Blazers.